Hi, so happy Friday, everyone. I'm gonna give it to you to present the topic from today because I think it's actually super, super important.
Today's topic is about how to build resilience. And resilience is something that we need all the time, especially if we are starting something new, or even if it's something that we are currently doing, there is always going to be that testing point of how committed are you, and are you willing to weather the storm, and how strong are you? So that's what I thought we would talk about today.
Great. So you guys more than welcome to share again in the comments. Like, what do you think about the topic? Are you resilient or not? How do you deal with things? And what do you think about the different tips that we're gonna share with you right now?
So the first one is adversity. So it's a guarantee that there's going to be some kind of adversity, and you need to look at that and decide what is the biggest challenge. So now something's in your way, and there's something stopping you, and you're thinking, so what is that adversity?
And I think it's very important because once you know what you're dealing with, it's easier to, deal with this and work with us and overcome this. But when you're not sure what's the problem, then you kind of get stuck.
Because very often it is that conversation of self-doubt that we have in our minds, which isn't necessarily the truth, but it's our own lack of confidence or self-worth or self-belief or past experience, etc., etc. So that ties into the next one, which is around your beliefs. So what do you actually believe about yourself, and what do you believe is possible? Because your beliefs are often a dictation of how you choose to live your life, the risks you take or the risks you're not willing to take, how you're willing to put yourself out there or not willing to put yourself out there. So that's very important, what you believe about yourself and what you're capable of doing.
Because that's what's also blocking you. Because if you don't believe in yourself that you can do it, that you overcome it, then you're stuck on the way and you cannot see any progress and you're basically standing in the same place and doing nothing. Whereas if you believe in yourself that you can do it, that you can overcome it, that you can manage, that's going to be an amazing thing for you to do to help you overcome everything in life.
Yep. And then your consequences. So what would be the consequences of you doing something or not doing something? And consequences are so often things that I don't know about you. Definitely for me, as I've gotten older, I am more present to consequences. And before I do something, I do think, okay, if it didn't go the way that I wanted to, or it went the other way, what are those consequences? And am I willing to accept those consequences, or am I not? And if I'm not, then I need to kind of think twice. So consequences are super, super, super important to, I think, everything in life, really.
But I think that's the thing. Like some of us do things without thinking too much and too far. And I guess this is why you're also doing the same lesson over and over again in life.
Yeah.
Versus like I think in a different way. I think most of my life I was like this. I was learning from other people's mistakes. Like I don't want to have that as a consequence like in my life. So I'm like trying to prevent it whenever I can.
Yeah. And then the next one is about a dispute. So it's like arguing with yourself. You can have this like, well, I mean, should I or shouldn't I? Or, I mean, I know with this half-day ladies retreat, there's been, I mean, it's not many, I understand that, but two guys have come forward and said, what's this about? Just ladies? How are you going to do it? Is it going to be co-ed, or what's going to happen? And honestly and truly, I'm now sitting with myself going, well, should I alternate? Should it be like 1 month ladies, 1 month co-ed, 1 month, like, how should it be? So eventually this decision was, okay, well, maybe ask the ladies that are coming this month if they feel comfortable and what they think about it. So it's kind of, it's that sort of thing. It's not being decisive.
Yeah, super important.
And then looking at alternatives. So what are the alternatives? So you decide to do whatever you decide to do, but you're really struggling and they're getting that resilience to get back on the horse and continue is really hard. well, what is the alternative? You know, like if I think about myself with this retreat, because my long-term plan is to have a retreat one day, if I'm not going to be attempting this, then how would I know? How would I
Yeah.
know this is even possible? So for me, what would be the alternative of figuring out this formula? I don't know, you know, so that's important.
I think it's always important to have a plan B and to have a better understanding, like, okay, what's going to happen if that's not going to work? What's going to happen if we're not going to deal with this? Like, you know, you want to know, you want to have a better understanding of, like, try to see the bigger picture.
Yep. And then the implications. So the implications would be, so if you decide not to do something or to do something, then again, what would the implications be for that? So the first retreat was great. It flowed. It was fantastic. April, it didn't work at all. It didn't flow. Ended up canceling April. And now for May, there's already about 10 people booked and paid. So that's fantastic. It just flowed. And we're not even, what are we on, the 6th of May. So, you know, again, it's that. What is the implication if you continue? What is the implication if you decide to cancel?
But again, it goes back to consistency, right? You need to be consistent, not giving up so fast. And I think that's why it's very important to understand, like, the things you were saying here about your beliefs, your consequences, like what's the alternatives, like, you know, what's the implications, so you can actually plan better, understand, okay, so what happened if it didn't work? What happened if that will work? Okay, how can I take it next? And I think it's in everything in life, especially also like with your business.
Mm. And then lastly, it's taking away what is useful about what it is that you believe. And I think in all of this, whatever you're trying, whatever you're starting, or whatever you are currently doing, what is your belief around that? And how committed are you to that? Because that's all going to tie into how resilient you are. Because as we know, it's never just going to flow, ever. There's always going to be so many challenges. But maybe if it's something you feel very passionate about, maybe it's worth being resilient and using some of these steps and seeing where you can work and where you're absolutely rocking it, and how to be more resilient, and the things that you really believe in.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of like learning and adjusting and see it as a key learning. In
Yeah,
every scenario, you're going to act differently. So see what you can empower, what you need to work on, what you're happy with, and take it from there.
absolutely. And just to end off by saying, even if whatever you're doing doesn't work out, it's still going to send you in some direction of growth. Yeah,
Rejection is redirection.
absolutely.
I
Yeah.
will see you guys next week. Have a lovely weekend. Bye.